Audio's on.
This one muted.
The computer is, but you guys should be good.
All right, good evening. I'm going to call this meeting to order. It's 7 o'clock. Adequate notice this meeting was given in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act by advertising the annual meeting notice in the official newspapers, providing a copy of the agenda to the newspapers, and posting a copy of the agenda at Borough Hall. Would you please rise for the flag salute?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Stan, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Bernhardt? Here. Councilmember Doherty?
Here.
Council President Lee Tag? Councilmember O'Brien?
Here.
Councilmember Updike? Here. Councilmember Warner? Here.
Okay, thank you very much. Our first item of business this evening is our public hearing. We have several ordinances tonight. The first is ordinance number 930. This is a bond ordinance providing improvements for the sewer utility pump station at Creek Road, binding the Borough of Frenchtown, the County of Hunterdon, State of New Jersey, appropriating $170,700 therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $170,700 in bonds or notes thereof to finance the cost. Is there a motion to open up the public hearing on ordinance number 990?
Second, John.
Thank you. All in favor? Opposed? The public hearing on ordinance number 930 is now open. If anyone from the public would like to address this ordinance, please state your name for the record. Okay, not hearing any public comment on ordinance number 930. Is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
John.
Thank you. All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Public hearing is now closed. Moving on to ordinance number 931. This is a bond ordinance providing for improvements for the Department of Public Works facility binding the Borough of Frenchtown, the County of Hunterdon, State of New Jersey, appropriating $189,700 therefore, including a grant from the State of New Jersey Department of Community Affairs, and authorizing the issuance of $39,700 of bonds or notes of the borough to finance part of the cost thereof. Is there a motion to open up the public hearing on ordinance number 931?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second, John.
Thank you. All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? The public hearing on ordinance number 931 is now open. If anyone from the public would like to address ordinance number 931, please state your name for the record. Hearing no public comment, is there a motion to close the public hearing on ordinance number 931?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second, John.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it. The public hearing on ordinance number 931 is now closed. Moving on to ordinance number 932, a bond ordinance providing for various general capital improvements to Frenchtown Borough Park, binding the Borough of Frenchtown, the County of Hunterdon, State of New Jersey, appropriating $125,000 therefore, including a grant from the Hunterdon County Municipal Park and Recreation Grant Program, and authorizing the issuance of $47,619 in bonds or notes of the borough to finance part of the cost thereof. Is there a motion to open the public hearing on ordinance number 932?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second, John.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The public hearing on ordinance number 932 is now open. If anyone from the public would like to address ordinance number 932, please state your name for the record. Hearing no public comment, is there a motion to close the public hearing on ordinance number 932?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a
Second, John.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it. The public hearing on ordinance number 932 is now closed. Moving on to D, ordinance number 933. This is a bond ordinance providing for various roadway improvements binding the Borough of Frenchtown in the County of Hunterdon, State of New Jersey, appropriating $775,000 therefore, including 2 grants from the State of New Jersey Department of Transportation, and authorizing the issuance of $287,697 in bonds or notes of the borough to finance part of the cost thereof. Is there a motion to open the public hearing on ordinance number 933? So moved. Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The public hearing on ordinance number 933 is now open. If anyone from the public would like to speak to this ordinance, please state your name for the record.
Tom Leone, what roads are this looking at? Has that been decided yet, or?
Yes, these are grants towards Harrison Street, Lower 7th Street, and also part of River Road and South Washington Street.
Further, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other public comment? Go ahead.
Martin Howard, just a note that the crossing of South Washington Street and the canal path should be treated with utmost care. Bicyclists, dog walkers going by there, and especially with the vegetation grows, it's hard for drivers to see this yield. The pedestrian sign is very old and no one pays attention to it anymore. So just as we're paying attention to other parts of pedestrian safety, I think that area needs some special care. Perhaps even before the construction begins, because even now it's again, weather's getting nicer, a lot of traffic, a lot of people on that path.
That part of the plan is to put some additional striping leading up to that crosswalk, as well to see any other enhancements that can be made. So that thankfully our engineer did include that in the plan to the state to make some additional visual enhancements down there. Any additional public comment? Okay, not hearing it. Is there a motion to close the public hearing on bond ordinance number 933?
So moved.
Give the second to Councilman Bernhardt. All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? The public hearing on ordinance number 933 is now closed. And finally, we have a public hearing on ordinance number 934. This is the calendar year 2025 ordinance to extend the municipal budget appropriations limits and establish a cap bank in accordance with NJSA 40A:4-45.14. Is there a motion to open the public hearing on the cap bank ordinance?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it. The public hearing on ordinance number 934 is now open. If anyone from the public would like to address this ordinance, please just state your name for the record. Hearing no public comment on ordinance number 934, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it. The public hearing on ordinance number 934 is now closed. With that, we'll move into our first public comment portion of our meeting. If anyone from the public would like to address the governing body tonight, please just state your name for the record. And we'll start with whoever would like to go first. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Lauren Shepherd. I live on 815 Harrison Street. Just so everybody knows, about 4 or 5 months ago, I found out that the town council, actually, the town owns the property of the Frenchtown Community Gardens. So I came to the council, and I'm so appreciative that when I spoke to you about the trapping of animals in the garden and the dumping of them in Pennsylvania by gardeners, you were very receptive, and I really, really appreciate that. And you're kind of a bit shocked. And because you didn't know what was going on in the garden, you really took on and said, listen, we're going to find out what's going on. We're going to deal with this. And I know change happens slowly. It does. But when it comes to cruelty to animals and possible death sentence for them, I think change has to come in pretty quickly. So my request was that trapping was stopped in the garden, that Frenchtown council puts up official signs saying that there's no trapping allowed in there. But what came up also with that issue, which is my major issue, is just that the garden needed oversight and needs some oversight. And I know that's going to take a while to work out. So I'm here today. I've handed you some information that I got, but I'm here today to just wonder, how quickly can you make a vote on no trapping, getting those official signs up? And, you know, I put in there that possible consequences for gardeners who will not follow that. And I know there's probably a couple who will just be like, ah, whatever, if there's not an official statement there. So I'm just here once again to, you know, to come to you and talk to you about this. I'm frustrated, but I also understand. that this was a new thing that I brought to you, and it takes time. And you all have other jobs, and I understand that, and it's requiring really someone from the council to be the overseer of the garden, and especially with the wait list, the money that's raised in the garden from garden plot fees, and of course, the traffic. So I know there's no news now, that's for sure. But what I did do was I did put a temporary no traffic sign.
I have a few updates. I mean, myself and the council president met with John Meisen, who's been listed as the garden manager. He said he kind of got it as an unofficial title. That's what the other gardeners are calling him. We had relayed about the no trapping. He said he was going to pass that on. He indicated that the major issue at the garden at the moment is they're having a major rat infestation.
Yes.
And part of that is they have old containers that they were using for composting. And the old compost containers are attracting rats. They asked for financial help from the borough to acquire new composting steel containers that could be mixed. So we are trying to see how we can help out financially with that. In addition, we spoke to John about some of the other issues, the wait list, this and that. He's indicated that one of the challenges he has is that they were working in the past with Veda Partolo. She was helping him with a lot of the information technology portion of communicating with the gardeners. She has stepped away from that position, passed it off to another volunteer. It sounds like that's still in process, trying to get themselves organized. We also heard that there's a financial account that exists among the gardeners. They'd like the borough to take that over and create it into a trust account. So it's going to take a decent amount of time to address some of the logistical things. It sounds like it's a complete reset of the table and a regrouping down there. So I think that's going to take a few months to work out because we're still trying to figure out all the players involved, and they're asking for the council to take on the responsibility of helping with this. And I said to him, a lot of this has to be community driven. There's only so much capacity that the council has, but certainly we can try and help with some of the financial end of things in terms of the money oversight, as well as we'll try and help with some of the communications, et cetera. So that process is underway. The trapping, if it's still an issue, we'll follow up on that. But we did relay the message, so that's where.
And the message wasn't relayed to the gardeners from John, so everybody was kind of like, what? Like, what's going on? So I think that's my concern. My frustration is that I found out recently that you were providing, well, we were told by Veda that a gardener was told by Veda that the council was purchasing these plastic containers. And I guess for me, all I needed was just updates. Like, hey, try to get in touch with John, we couldn't. We tried to do this, but there was nothing. It was just nothing. So I came to every meeting, once again, saying this, but then I'm told that they got in touch with you to get funding for.
John Meisen, we met with John Meisen maybe a week or two ago, and that's when all this was coming to the light.
Saying that, I brought up these concerns, but it's been, nobody has gotten back to me to say, hey, listen, we're working on this, we're doing this. And I think, as a community member, this is really frustrating. Once again, I understand change takes time, but once again, I believe just a simple phone call, email.
It took us 6 weeks to get the meeting with Mr. Meisen.
Yeah, no, but it would have been nice if someone said, hey, we can't get in touch with him, which I was told.
Well, I think that's one of the reasons the borough is considering getting an administrator, because there's a lot of things in this borough. There's a lot of, I think a lot of folks would like a lot of follow-up on a lot of different things. And there's just so many hours as volunteers that we can deal with. So we're trying to bring in some additional professional leadership to help with just the day-to-day stuff, from managing a garden to all the other activities going on in town. And I'm sorry it took a while, but we are trying to bring it to a positive conclusion for you.
So I'm just gonna circle back to the trapping. The gardeners that are trapping and dumping the animals in PA will continue doing that if there's not an official sign, consequences for their behavior. These are animals' lives, and It's cruel, it's futile to do something like that. And it's against what, people in Frenchtown believe in, that we are a community within nature. I would love that trapping is done. You say there's no trapping. I don't know why you can't do that. Get official signs up there and tell them, listen, you can't do this anymore, because they will. There's a group of people there that will do that.
I'll talk to our public safety director and our council president. We're taking the lead on that.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you. I
you're
appreciate
welcome. Yeah.
it. Thank you.
In the back?
Hi, my name is Val Murphy, and I live at 817 Harrison Street. I'm actually a gardener, and I just wanted to address a couple of things that you stated, sir. I'm not sure I know why it took 6 weeks to contact somebody who lives in town. He needed his email address. The borough clerk knows how to reach me, how to get it. And even if that were the case, why are we beholden to one person who's aged, who by his own admission has diminished capability to handle things?
I wouldn't, I think he's not here to defend himself. I don't think those are appropriate comments. If you'd like to address the process of the garden, why don't we just stick the comments to that?
Okay, I mean, but why does it come down to trying to reach out to one single person, when in fact, the whole issue here is that there should be either a steering committee or a group of people who collectively make informed decisions that are based on science, not old school ways of pest management. So I just say that I don't understand why it took 6 weeks.
So the garden was a community initiative. It was established by volunteers. It was volunteer money that was raised. It's been volunteer led for over a decade. It seemed to be functioning for many years for relatively well. And obviously we've run into a hiccup. We had to kind of figure out who's who down there, who's gardening, who's leadership, what's the wait list, who's in charge of the wait list, who does the communications. And it's been really, we had nothing to start with, other than the concerns that you raised here at this meeting.
That's usually what instigates change, is when someone sort of either a whistleblower says, look, the way things are going are not sustainable, especially for a community that wants to embrace sustainable ecological best practices. The second thing I want to say is this idea that communication is challenging is also false, because yes, Ms. Portello left and relinquished her plot to the person who now is in charge of communication. Communication has been seamless. I get 5, sometimes 6 emails a day about the most mundane, and yet nothing as important as, hold on a second, the council has met, they have issued somebody to say no more trapping. That's not been communicated. I asked, and I don't understand why, that one important thing, that one bit of traction that we made still has not been communicated.
So
Did
we're
John
working.
Meisen communicate that? Did you check with John Meisen?
I'm part of the distribution mail group.
Oh, no, that's what I'm asking, yeah.
I'm the group.
So nobody checked with him?
About any other thing.
But did anybody check with John Meisen?
I'm not following you, what should?
So here's the deal. We're working towards bringing this to a successful conclusion. I can tell you that some of the views you've raised, some of your fellow gardeners have very different positions than yours and have a very different take on the situation. So we're going to have to do a reset here, and it's going to take a little time. But the trapping thing we've relayed it before. If we have to have the public safety director help relay it, we'll do that. But I can tell you that there seems to be a very substantial divide that seems to have to be healed between some of the gardeners.
It's the council who says that they own the property, that the township owns the property. How say you that will be handled if it's going to be left to people who disagree?
Rather than keep getting into back and forth, you'll get a comprehensive update probably in June. In June, the June meeting.
Here,
Yes.
okay.
Okay. Additional public comments.
Tom Leone speaking, before my father, 23 Ward. Couple questions. When they redid the road up there, in front of my father's house, they narrowed the road 4 foot. Adding 4 foot of yard onto the front of my father's property. which is technically the boroughs. This bottleneck is actually poorly designed because the garbage trucks cannot turn in there and they're running up the yard. I thought it was gonna be 86 Saturday. I don't feel that that 4-foot section, which is technically the boroughs, should be his domain to go out there and have to, every time a garbage truck goes through, fix a rut and take care of it. And on that note, legal, liability wise, who's gonna be, you know, responsible for that? Cause now, is it inherently thought that he's just gonna mow it when he mows his yard? Cause we did that in front of his house and you know, what are we gonna do with this?
So the roads were designed to be 18 feet in width, which was brought up at all the community meetings, which was the minimum residential standard that was allowed by law and what the USDA could do that the residents wanted. The residents did not want wider roads. So from the community meetings that we held out there, in terms of liability, I'd have to turn to our attorney on that. But that's where that's the width. The 18 feet width was the minimum residential rural standard, which was what was put into the project.
And
that's where the width came
It
from.
was thought that that was smart, narrowing that road 4.5 foot.
It was to create uniformity and one width throughout the entire area up there.
Well, then you better take a tape measure, Brad, because there is no uniformity up there.
Well, I don't have our engineer here to speak to it. He's the designer.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
We looked at, I mean, it is, you know, and, you know, from a couple different.
Most of the residents up there are very happy with the project. Hopefully we'll be able to make it work for
You
everyone.
know, I'm worried about that, you know, and you know, we're all children, we all worry about our parents, you know. You know, worried about that, and then.
I'm not happy about it at all, but it may be their responsibility.
Okay.
And then, there's just a couple other things, they came and put, a very cheap and, unreliable taping on the seam between the blacktop they put in to match with New Road and the existing blacktop that my father had in his driveway. What's the warranty on something like that?
I think what's gonna be best is our engineer needs to respond to these
Okay.
questions. I do know that they're trying to get in touch with you, they said. with the
Yeah,
house.
that left a message for,
What is a good phone number for them to reach? Can you leave with our clerk? Because there seems, they said they're not having success connecting.
and I will reach out.
I said, if you have, maybe you could call.
Yeah. And then the only other thing I have, and I'm gonna pick on the town here a little bit, Dad sent a letter on March 19th. We heard back from the engineers on April 25th. No response to this day from the borough that a letter had been received from Dad. He was a little bit upset, you know, like, didn't, you know, living here a long time, he thought just that, hey, we got your letter, would have been nice.
So we had turned at the meeting when we talked about this, the engineer was gonna be a lead on this. They sent another follow-up letter to all the residents in the Hilltop community saying if there are issues that are, you know, need to be
Yeah.
addressed,
I do have a
punch
copy of
list,
that letter.
yeah. So that was our effort to try and make sure that the engineer worked with all the homeowners up there.
All right.
And it was on the official record, our attorney reached out to the engineer.
Well, we do appreciate, I know my parents do
Yeah.
appreciate the borough coming forward.
I know they're trying to get in touch with your household too, because they were offering tree plantings for you guys as
That's what I
well.
was gonna say. They do
Yeah.
appreciate the offer and putting some trees up here to make a block, because it's very noticeable difference now that all that natural wind block has been removed. Yeah, I mean, Dad lost 2 trees and a good part of the magnolia, and you know, was not happy, but okay, no.
But yeah, that was also, if you recall, the
Yeah.
folks up there wanted the retention ponds for large scale rain events, climate change. It was a lot of give and take up there throughout this
Yeah,
project
well,
and
I think some things got overlooked and just kind of missed, but you can't go
Yeah.
back and fix it.
but I do know the engineer wants to work through the punch list with you. They don't
Yeah,
want to
yeah.
sign off on the contractor until everything's satisfactory. And the plantings, whatever, you know, they want to work with you guys on what you would
Yeah.
like for the property.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Dad did call me the message, I'm gonna follow up.
Okay.
And I was out of state for a week or so.
Yep,
I'm just catching back up.
no problem, but they do want to take care of that for you.
Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
I have one question.
Sure.
Fair enough.
Why did they have to put the curbing in front of my house 4 feet from my original property line?
They said that's a standard, Dad.
That's what the engineer
It
designed.
would have stayed the same, but it was, there would have been no problem. We would have 20, 21 foot. Like, it would have plenty of room.
Like the rest of it.
It wouldn't have affected him, my neighbor Kevin,
So,
and now I have that pond retaining water there that's, looks like hell, to say anything.
well,
No
I,
privacy.
okay, rather than get, I mean, I can't get into a whole back and forth. I can have our engineer try and address some of your questions, but the idea was to create the uniformity, the 18 feet of width, which is what the standard was for the area, and the retention ponds were the neighbor driven. They were not in the original project, but-
He says, no. Coming up Ward Street, where the sewer was years ago, the road is much wide. It's 22 feet, where if possible, under the deed, they could have taken 3 foot of my land to make it even wider. Now, after my close to 200 feet on my driveway, then they go back to the regular 21 feet there. So, right, it doesn't make sense.
It's about a 400-foot section where it goes from 22 to 18 and back to 22. Like I said, the uniformity, yeah, the engineer's stretching that one. But
I'll ask Mr. Burr to, reach out to you guys. The additional public comment.
Good evening, my name is Kevin Kraft. I'm 22 Ward Street, across the street from Lou and his son. I understand when they engineered this, the intersection of Ward, where he's talking about Ward and Chestnut, they kind of like made a square instead of a radius on the curve because of the property marker, which got knocked over by the sign people. They fixed that, but you still got a square radius. And when the your new garbage company comes, even the old garbage company, they would, instead of making the left go down and then flip around and come back up Ward Street, they were trying to make the hard right-hand turn, which goes up over the curb on his front lawn.
Now, I have a picture.
And where my house was and his, I understand Lou's trying to explain, there was a right of way there in front of their house that had the water main, which was covered with stone, like the old road was stone. And what he's trying to say is, why didn't the engineers just keep the water line right of way in with the road, so it would have been 21 feet and be uniform throughout the whole neighborhood? I understand, I'm trying to help clarify, because he's across the street, I'm across the street. Our street is the only one that's 18 feet wide. So if I decided to take one of my pickup trucks, park it on the street where the curb is, not where his driveway is, where the cutout, where they can drive over the cutout, keep going down. You won't be able to get a fire truck through there. You can barely get another car through there. But this is already done. That would take massive amounts of money to redo all this. And that's what he's trying to explain, and I'm trying to help explain. Also, I might like to thank the council. They did add a guardrail at the detention basin at Ward Street and Chestnut. They did put a guardrail in, but I think they should put, like up on the top, the hilltop, they got the reflective arrows. So when you go around the corner, I think they should put a reflective arrow pointing left or right when you come to the stop.
Okay. I know they're not done. They're still working through the punch list. I'll ask Mr. Bird again, make contact with everyone, send out his team, and, they can work through some of this, yeah.
I'm helping.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying.
Helping the
Yeah.
town, cause, I don't think they should release the bond yet up there. There's still a lot of issues up there. There's supposed to be 6 inches of topsoil laid back out wherever anything was disturbed. If you go up there, you'll see chunks of shale. And they just seeded and strewed over chunks of shale. They didn't re-topsoil all disturbed areas.
All right, our attorney and I will follow up. Additional public comments? All right. With that, we'll move on to our consent agenda. All matters listed on the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the governing body and will be enacted by one motion in the form listed below. There will be no separate discussion of these items. If discussion is desired, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. That's just the presentation of vouchers. Does anyone need anything removed from the vouchers? Okay, is there a motion for adoption of the consent agenda?
So moved.
Thank you. Thank you. Any questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Bernhardt?
Yes.
Councilmember Dockerty?
Yes.
Councilmember O'Brien?
Yes.
Councilmember Updike?
Yes.
Councilmember Warner?
Yes.
Next is approval of the meeting minutes. We can do the three, right? Is that okay for the April 2nd?
No,
Or do you want me to carry that one to the next?
no, hold on a second, April 2nd. We still have.
Okay. So the first is approval of the April 2nd regular meeting minutes. Is there a motion for adoption of those minutes?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there any second?
Second, John.
Thank you. Any edits or questions on these? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Councilmember Bernhardt?
Abstain.
Councilmember Dockerty?
Yes.
Councilmember O'Brien?
Yes.
Councilmember Updike?
Abstain.
Councilmember Warner?
Yes.
The next is the approval of meeting minutes of April 17th, 2025. This is a special meeting. Is there a motion for adoption of those meeting minutes?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, or edits? Not hearing any, roll call, please.
Councilmember Bernhardt?
Yes.
Councilmember Dockerty?
Yes.
Councilmember O'Brien?
Yes.
Councilmember Updike?
Yes.
Councilmember Warner?
Abstain.
Moving on to resolutions. The first is resolution 2025-75. This is a contract award for the Ward Street Improvement Project to Top Line Construction Company as the local responsible bidder. Is there a motion for approval of resolution 2025-75?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Updike. Any questions or comments on this? Just want to say Top Line has done work in the borough before. They did Milford Road, Harrison Street, so they've had a good working relationship with us in the past. And I was glad to see that they submitted a competitive bid. And this will also deal with side or crosswalk enhancements on Kingwood Avenue as part of the project as well. So with that, roll call, please.
Councilmember Bernhardt?
Yes.
Councilmember Dockerty?
Yes.
Councilmember O'Brien?
Yes.
Councilmember Updike?
Yes.
Councilmember Warner?
Yes.
The next is resolution.
Excuse me, I got a question.
We're
Okay.
in regular session, but at the second comment period, we can absolutely do that. Resolution 2025-76 is a contract award for lead inspection and testing services to Lou Environmental. Is there a motion for adoption of that resolution?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second, John.
Any questions or comments about this? Not hearing, roll call, please.
Councilmember Bernhardt?
Yes.
Councilmember Dockerty?
Yes.
Councilmember O'Brien?
Yes.
Councilmember Updike?
Yes.
Councilmember Warner?
Yes.
And then item C, resolution 2025-77 is to appoint David Lugo as a full-time police officer for the borough of Frenchtown. Is there a motion for approval of this resolution?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, it's Councilwoman Warner. So David is a Lambertville police officer currently, and he would start here effectively on May 20th upon successful completion of all the pre-employment stuff. And it's great. He'll be our third full-time officer, and he's fully sworn and ready to hit the streets immediately. So that's great. With that, roll call, please.
Councilmember Bernhardt?
Yes.
Councilmember Dockerty?
Yes.
Councilmember O'Brien?
Yes.
Councilmember Updike?
Yes.
Councilmember Warner?
Yes.
Resolution 2025-78 is amending and restating resolution number 2021-57 heretofore duly adopted by the Borough of Frenchtown, the County of Hunter, State of New Jersey on March 3rd, 2021, as amended and restated on May 5th, 2021, and entitled Resolution of the Borough of Frenchtown in the County of Hunterdon, State of New Jersey, authorizing and making an application to the local finance board pursuant to NJSA 40A:2-26E and certain other matters in connection with the issuance of not exceeding $1,590,000 general obligation bonds to the United States of America, acting through the United States Department of Agriculture Rural Development. And this is pertaining to the Hilltop Streets project. Is there a motion for adoption of this resolution?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second? Second. Was Councilman O'Brien the second? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Bernhardt?
Yes.
Councilmember Dockerty?
Yes.
Councilmember O'Brien?
Yes.
Councilmember Updike?
Yes.
Councilmember Warner?
Yes.
Item E, resolution 2025-79 is appointing Christopher Dwyer as interim manager for the Department of Public Works. Is there a motion for approval of that resolution?
So moved.
And a second?
Second, John.
So just by way of background, Council President Liebtag and Councilwoman Bernhardt and I met about this. Obviously, we've had a retirement in the DPW. We do not have anyone in charge. We also have somebody out on a medical. So we have some different technology things that are going on, as well as some other oversight that needs to happen. So we're going to have our public safety director run both until we name a replacement. We did go over the resumes over the weekend, spent some time with that, and we have a few candidates that we're going to bring in for interviews. We did a salary kind of analysis with them first to see if we were within striking range or not. So with that, roll call, please.
Councilmember Bernhardt?
Yes.
Councilmember Dockerty?
Yes.
Councilmember O'Brien?
Yes.
Councilmember Updike?
Yes.
Councilmember Warner?
Yes.
Ordinances, ordinance number 938, bond ordinance providing improvements for the sewer utility pump station at Creek Road, buying in the Borough of Frenchtown, the County of Hunterdon, State of New Jersey, appropriating $170,700 therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $170,700 in bonds or notes to finance the cost thereof for adoption. Is there a motion for adoption?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any questions or comments on that? Okay, roll call, please.
Councilmember Bernhardt?
Yes.
Councilmember Dockerty?
Yes.
Councilmember O'Brien?
Yes.
Councilmember Updike?
Yes.
Councilmember Warner?
Yes.
Next is ordinance number 931. This is also for adoption. This is a bond ordinance providing improvements for the Department of Public Works facility, binding the Borough of Frenchtown, the County of Hunterdon, State of New Jersey, appropriating $189,700 therefore, including a grant from the State of New Jersey Department of Community Affairs, and authorizing the issuance of $39,700 of bonds or notes of the borough to finance part of the cost thereof. And this is for the backup generator, which thanks to Senator Turner, we got $150,000 towards.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any questions or comments on that? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Bernhardt?
Yes.
Councilmember Dockerty?
Yes.
Councilmember O'Brien?
Yes.
Councilmember Updike?
Yes.
Councilmember Warner?
Yes.
The next item is bond ordinance number 932, providing for various general capital improvements to the Frenchtown Borough Park, binding the Borough of Frenchtown, the County, Hunterdon, State of New Jersey, appropriating $125,000 therefore, including a grant from the Hunterdon County Municipal Park and Recreation Grant Program, and authorizing the issuance of $47,619 in bonds or notes of the borough to finance part of the cost thereof. This is also for adoption. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments on this? With that, roll call, please.
Councilmember Bernhardt?
Yes.
Councilmember Dockerty?
Yes.
Councilmember O'Brien?
Yes.
Councilmember Updike?
Yes.
Councilmember Warner?
Yes.
Next item is bond ordinance number 933. This is providing for various roadway improvements, binding the Borough of Frenchtown, the County of Hunterdon, State of New Jersey, appropriating $775,000 therefore, including two grants from the State of New Jersey Department of Transportation, authorizing the issuance of $287,697 of bonds or notes of the borough to finance part of the cost thereof. Is there a motion for adoption of this ordinance?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second, John. Second, Kathy.
Okay. Councilmember Bernhardt, a second. Any questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Bernhardt?
Yes.
Councilmember Dockerty?
Yes.
Councilmember O'Brien?
Yes.
Councilmember Updike?
Yes.
Councilmember Warner?
Yes.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Finally, we have ordinance number 934. This is the 2025 cap bank ordinance of the Borough of Frenchtown for adoption. Is there a motion for adoption of ordinance number 934?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any questions or comments on this? This is just for the public. It's considered a best practice. It enables us to save money for the future if we had a financial hardship or we didn't, since we're not using the total appropriation allowed by law. With that, roll call, please.
Councilmember Bernhardt?
Yes.
Councilmember Dockerty?
Yes.
Councilmember O'Brien?
Yes.
Councilmember Updike?
Yes.
Councilmember Warner?
Yes.
New business, we have a coin toss request from Frenchtown Fire Department. You'll see a series of dates listed in their letter, but they're only going to choose two of those weekends depending upon the weather.
Okay.
With that, is there approval of the dates they outlined with the understanding that it'll be only 2 weekends that there'll be coin tosses occurring? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Second.
Second, Councilman update. Roll call, please, Sam.
Councilmember Bernhardt?
Yes.
Councilmember Dockerty?
Yes.
Councilmember O'Brien?
Yes.
Councilmember Updike?
Yes.
Councilmember Warner?
Yes.
Finally, item B is concert album release show on June 7th, 2025 at Sunbeam Park. This was carried over from before. The insurance documents have been received that were required for this. So with that, is there a approval of the concert request?
I think there should be a little discussion about the length of it. I think they requested the events from 3 to 6, but they would like to set it from noon to 8 p.m. which is a long day in the park.
Okay, all I know on my end was just that there was an insurance outstanding. If you'd like to take that back to committee then,
I'd like to.
okay.
And then have a discussion with the applicant concerning the length and setup.
Okay,
It's set for June,
June 7th, yeah.
so we'll have,
Meeting.
so we have a special meeting for the budget adoption. I think it's on the
I think
19th,
it's 19th, yeah.
but I think we
I'll
should
double check.
let them know for planning.
Yeah.
Because I thought it was only hold up was the insurance.
I remember.
The last
that, yeah.
meeting.
yeah,
I mean, could we approve it with we do a conditional approval? Condition being that, I don't know, get them to surmise that time, or you can talk.
Is there a window you think is more
Because I think
appropriate
the
or?
principle, the concert's okay, right? Just a question about noise. Is that what you?
yeah, because in the past, we've limited events from all-day events.
Mhm.
I mean, we've had all-day events here that were community-driven, but this is a private record opening.
Okay,
I'm not against it, I'm just saying,
Right.
like, and I'm just staying consistent with the
Yeah.
messaging that we've used and sent for receptions and events
mhm,
like that, wedding events,
mhm.
that requested full day. There were private events, even though it was.
But
a
to
private
John's
event.
point, can we do a conditional one or no?
Yeah,
Any thoughts on that?
May
And they put it-
19th is not that far away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You can communicate with them what the issue is now. You don't have to wait until May 19th.
Mhm.
Explain to them there's a problem and how can they cut it back consistent with what you've done. Or you can unilaterally change the time and.
So what is the norm? I'm sorry, I'm. What is the
this
norm?
said
for-
more. Well, for right now, they're saying they're asking from noon until 8 p.m., an 8-hour event.
Yeah, 2 hours.
But the park
before,
is
2
still
hours
open to the
after.
public, right?
Right, and they said,
During that time.
spectators 50 to 70 people,
Mm.
so up to 70 people in the park for a day,
mhm.
could be, I know setup is different.
Mhm.
Um,
Does the park close at dusk?
dusk,
Yeah,
Okay.
Yep.
So let me see when dusk, that's gonna be,
no,
8 o'clock would be.
Yeah.
okay, if we want to consider on the 19th, Sam, can you let them know that, there's going to be a follow-up coming on this regarding whether or not the full 8-hour request is needed? And, that they need to talk with Councilman O'Brien about that as Parks liaison.
Yes.
I'll be in touch with them.
Okay. And then, so with that, we'll consider that on the 19th. And then you had mentioned, Councilman O'Brien, item C, we need to move to the 19th as well.
Yes, because it's, I can't see why not, but there's park reservation form was not submitted. A play group's being scheduled under a local business, even though no business events are being partaken for the permit that's being requested. And the
Okay,
use, and I just want to get clarification on that.
okay,
This application, you're talking about Playful Heart now.
yes,
Mm.
yeah,
That's for Sunbeam or the main park? Almost.
I think they went Borough, it was gonna be at Borough Park, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Okay. Then item D is funding requests, and then we'll consider that the 19th as well. You'll talk to the applicant for,
There's a difference.
Yeah. but they do.
Yes,
So just if we can circle back briefly to Playful Heart. Bill, the application from Clover Stevie is on this facilities reservation request, right? Facilities parks reservation request form.
And then they checked off, park reservation, no, but they didn't request that.
Well, I'm looking at the one from, Playful Hearts on a different form. Are they supposed to use? What's the
If
difference?
there's a. So an activity, a park reservation, they would need to reserve that spot.
Do
in the
this,
park.
yeah, okay. But activity, what's the difference between that and the activity form?
The activity form itself is say, like events that we have in town, like activities, like if activities. It's not driven just by the park here. So I think,
Oh, it says at park, I got it, okay, got it.
yeah,
But it'd be
So
helpful
they
to
fill
know
that in.
which park. Okay,
right.
Okay, we're good on that?
thank you.
Okay. Item D was a funding request from American Legion for the 2025 Memorial Day Parade. Sarah, it's usually, we give them $500 toward. Is there a motion for approval then? Thank you. Councilman Warner, is there a second?
Second,
Councilman Updike, thank you. Any questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Bernhardt? Yes. Councilmember Doherty?
Yes,
Councilmember O'Brien?
Yes,
Councilmember Updike?
yes,
Councilmember Warner?
Yes.
And then we'll move on to council comments. Councilman Warner, do you want to go first?
I have no comments this evening.
Okay, thank you. Councilwoman Updike.
I guess I just have to say, Brad and I actually have a meeting set up on Wednesday. With Park Mobile, which I'm excited about. I've already been in contact with them once. Kind of got their basic information and layout. Well, that, not a full meeting, it was a Zoom call, but. I would like to explore the topic to be sure that we find the right balance for both residents and business owners. And maybe have a little bit more of a customized format for town. But I will be sure to follow up with the information that we gather.
Thank you very much.
Very welcome.
Councilman O'Brien.
no comments.
Okay. Councilman Bernhardt.
I'll just repeat what you said earlier, that we met, we received 12 applicants for the manager of DPW job, which is very exciting. And so we went through all the applications and are setting up interviews with several of them. So hopefully we'll have that position filled soon.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Councilman Doherty.
we are moving ahead on our affordable housing process. We had at the last planning and zoning board meeting 2 weeks ago, briefed the planning and zoning board on where we are right now, and our planner did most of the briefings. We also discussed a number of issues for input for her on the process. And she has, given us a draft, what's called Fair Share Housing Plan, which is one of the elements that we need to approve before June 30th. So I am going to be giving her comments tomorrow, and so she can proceed on that. So that's moving on track right now.
Very good. Thank you. I've got just a couple things. Jill Carney reached out from Art Yard. They're looking for some council members to help with the hatch event, to be part of that annual event. So if anyone's interested, please let me know, or Council President Lead Tag. I think they need a minimum of at least 3.
What
So
capacity?
to help with one of the large birds
Oh.
to hold the
To just be a part of it.
Yeah,
Not
to
the
hold
plan,
like
nothing.
the-
Okay,
no,
that's
no.
what I meant by capacity.
in the actual parade.
Okay.
I want to thank JD STEM, owner of STEM Brothers. I know that the shrubs next to the Sicko station were an issue of concern for some of our residents. I think actually it was, I think it might have been Beta Partolo that wrote us about it. They've taken those shrubs out completely next to the Sicko gas station. When you were crossing over the creek, they're gone. They removed them today. So that was a nice step forward. It should hopefully help with some additional line of sight down there. In addition to that, I want to thank Holland Township. Holland Township is going to be their DPW coming down here next week. I asked for a favor from their mayor, and they're going to do patching, hot patch in the parking lot, the municipal parking lot next to Sicko. and also on Creek Road nearest Napoli Pizzeria. They're only gonna charge us for material, and they're gonna do that for us, so we don't have that type of machine, so I certainly appreciate their help. And then, for the June meeting, we should have, a committee, recommendation to the council for, doing a new element to the open space design for the Hilltop, preservation area, formerly known as the Thompson Tract. So that will be at the June meeting as well, along with some folks that wrote to us and reached out that would like to serve in a volunteer capacity on that committee. With respect to correspondence, I just want to note there is a letter in here for us from the Frenchtown Skate Park Association with a series of recommendations. I'm assuming this is in the context of, potentially doing this at the Frenchtown Borough Park, because there is an active grant opportunity through Hunterdon County that, has a deadline coming up, and it looks like they gave us some price projections and other things that would be worth looking at. I think you're working on that, right, with Council President
Yes.
Leotek? Okay, so I just want to note that we have that here. There's also a Frenchtown Police Monthly Report from our police director in your packet for your review. And there's also a letter from the state of New Jersey regarding a recent EEO review that was done at the borough offices. So just want to point those items out for the record. With that, we are at our second public comment portion of our meeting. So if anyone would like to address the governing body, just state your name for the record, please.
Good evening again, Kevin Kraft. For Ward Street, the second half of the construction, do they have a starting date for that yet?
Not yet. What will happen is once the date is selected with the contractor, they'll leaflet the neighborhood.
Top line's doing the job.
Top line will be the contractor, yep. So
Okay.
top line and engineer will
That,
leaflet.
and the second thing, I'd like to say congratulations to the firemen. A good stop, well done stop on the house fire on Ridge Road. They deserve more than what they get from the town. They did a very good job with very few people.
Yeah, could have been a much different situation. Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Additional public comments? Go ahead.
Tom Leon again. You mentioned the Hilltop track behind my quote. Do we have a long-term goal? What is gonna be done there?
So what's gonna happen is the Open Space Advisory Committee will host a series of public meetings with our planner, with the public to help inform what that use of that property will be like. It has to maintain public access. The question is it gonna be just, there's been some interest in mountain biking trails. There's been some in walking trails. Some have reached out about horse trails. So that's all part of the public process to figure out what that use is gonna look like. It'll have some element of public access, obviously. But I don't know, how the committee will ultimately go in terms of their recommendations. But I assume that, they're gonna try and do it in a manner that's keeping with the community and doing what we need to do to maintain our Green Acres compliance.
Do we have a projected area where they may, park to access this?
I don't think any of that's been ironed out yet. It's gonna have to be a full plan. And then depending upon how the plan makes out, once you have a plan, then you can always go back to Green Acres for additional funding support to kind of implement some of the elements.
And then I just, another question about the DPW. The 12 applicants, are they being required to come in with a CPWM, or is Borough gonna offer them courses for CPWM, and is that gonna be something that's gonna be considered by the borough?
So the application that we put out said it was CPWM would be preferred, but not required. If it's the right applicant, they don't have one, we can always send them back through schooling, which is what we did here with our own folks in the past.
Do we have someone with that right now?
We do not currently. Mike Reno used to have that certification.
had his.
Yeah, he was the only one that possessed that certification.
Are you still taking applications for the DVW or is that something?
We just closed the application period.
Thank you.
Thank you. Additional public comments? Any other comments? Okay. With that, I think that's everything, for tonight. We do have a meeting, a special meeting on the 19th of May in the morning. So that was at 9 AM. 9 AM on the 19th, here in this room. So just an FYI on that. With that, is there a motion to adjourn? Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? The ayes have it. Thank you very much.